the first time the alert popped up on my iPhone. I was juggling paper bags and my keys, shoulder against the door, and it read like a whisper laid over the screen. Unknown accessory moving with you. I tapped it with a thumb still smelling like oranges from the bag, and my heart did that double thud, but Find Nearby spun and failed like a stale page that wouldn't load, offering only learn more about safety and tracking. I set the groceries down and stepped back onto the porch for air, cold evening cutting across my face, and the banner slipped away as if the night itself had swallowed it. I live alone in a 2-bedroom duplex that never feels too big until it suddenly does, and late winter in my town makes the streetlights hum like they're thinking about something they won't say. When the hallway light flickered as I closed the door, I rolled my eyes at the old fixture and told myself to call the landlord, but I kept the phone open to the Find My screen like it was a life preserver. Nothing came while I unpacked. Milk into the fridge, pasta into the cabinet. But the second my sock brushed over the rug in the living room, the banner slid down again like it had been waiting for me to forget it existed. I did what the phone told me. Learn more, continue, find nearby, and watch that little ring think about it before throwing up, unable to locate. As if the thing were a breath I couldn't catch in my own house. Wi-Fi was fine, Bluetooth on. And there I was, slowly turning in a circle like I was trying to feel a draft or a temperature change that wasn't there, the TV black enough to reflect the shape of my head a half beat late. Outside was clean, the driveway was clean, the banner never showed up by my car, only inside, and that was the part that settled into me like a splinter I couldn't see. I went practical, couch cushions off, hallway closet open, smoke detector unscrewed with a chair wobbling under me, because I remembered a headline about people tucking trackers into normal things that don't make noise until they do. I found lint, an old receipt, a single sock, but nothing that could beep or blink, and when I stepped onto the porch to breathe and reset, the alert disappeared like the house had unclenched its fist. I left the bedroom lamp on like a kid and put the phone face up, wishing for nothing but blank glass. But at 2 a.m. the vibration rattled the wood of the nightstand like a tiny knock from the inside. Unknown accessory moving with you, it said, as if it were introducing a person at a party I didn't throw. Find Nearby failed again. The signal ring not even blinking while I moved the phone along the baseboard, over the vent, past the dresser where I keep receipts I don't need but can't throw away, all of it feeling ridiculous and exactly right at the same time. I stepped into the hall, and the alert clung to me, then vanished the instant my toes crossed into the kitchen, returning when I stepped back like I'd tugged on a thread that only ran through the bedroom. At work the next day, I tried to talk about anything else, filled the silence with small things, thumbnail chew marks and coffee gone cold, and in the parking lot after, I checked the phone out of spite and got nothing at all, like I'd imagined the whole thing. After dinner, I called my friend Jess, who is patient with me in a way I don't always deserve, and asked if she could come over with her phone so I'd feel less crazy, and we crossed the threshold together like the start of a joke. Only my phone lit up. Then, when she stepped deeper into the living room and I hovered by the door, her phone caught it for a breath before it fell off near the kitchen, like we'd found the edges of something that didn't want edges. We pulled the couch away from the wall and beat the cushions like old rugs, checked behind the TV and inside the lampshade, and the phone never once gave a distance or an arrow, just unable to locate, like it was embarrassed it had brought it up. At 11, Jess squeezed my arm and told me to text if anything changed, and I promised, hating how my voice sounded, like I was asking the house for permission to feel safe. I locked the door, set the phone on the coffee table, sat on the rug like a kid told to wait, and stared at the screen long enough to see my own face reflected in it and not recognize the expression. The banner slid down silently, a half inch like a blink, gentle enough to feel polite, and I realized how much worse that made it, like it knew to be careful with me. Unknown accessory moving with you, and my mouth went dry, and for the first time I said the word stalker out loud and flinched at how it sounded sitting in my living room. I called the non-emergency line, explained as calmly as I could, and the dispatcher's voice had this practiced softness that made space for mine. Document everything. Don't confront anyone. Consider staying elsewhere tonight. I threw clothes in a bag and grabbed my laptop, and the second the deadbolt slid, the banner rolled off like it had just been waiting for its cue, as if the door itself were part of the performance. Jess's couch is older than both of us, and it squeaks in a way that should be annoying but feels like a lullaby when the dark is heavy, and my phone stayed quiet all night like whatever it was didn't have the spine to show up in someone else's home. I slept badly but without the banner, which felt like a kind of win I wasn't sure I should count yet. The next evening we went back with a plan and a flashlight and the kind of laugh people use when they're about to do something that feels like a dare, and we cut the power room by room to see if killing the heartbeat would make the house forget me. Breaker off in the living room. Alert still there, candle flickering like it couldn't decide if it liked the air, and the walls ticked in the quiet like they were cooling down from a fever. We cut the bedroom, the hall, everything but the kitchen, and the phone kept insisting something was moving with me in the dark while refusing to point a finger, which somehow felt worse than a direction would have. Outside under the streetlight, with the main breaker off, my phone was clean, no banner, no history, no hint of a ghost, just the simple glow of an unlocked screen and the sound of my breath fogging in the cold. From the lawn, looking in through my own window, the living room had that terrarium look, like a place made to hold something, and for one stupid second, I pictured myself under a glass dome I'd forgotten I bought. We flipped the breaker back on, and even before I took a step, the banner waited at the edge of the screen like a polite host I couldn't see. I slept in my car in the driveway because I needed to prove I wasn't being dramatic, back seats down, blanket that smelled a little like my trunk, and a bottle of water rolling every time I shifted. At 3:07 a.m., the phone vibrated, and relief hit me so fast it felt like a laugh. Because if it could show itself out here, then maybe it had rules I could learn to break. But it wasn't the banner. It was a push from my indoor camera saying the living room lamp had turned on by itself, and the part of my brain that wants to make things reasonable just sat down and shut up. I opened the feed and watched the lamp burn in that grainy staircase of pixels, the app's power toggles stubbornly reading off, like a lie a kid tells with crumbs on their face. After a minute it went dark, the camera blinked into night vision with that insect eye shimmer, and I felt ridiculous and scared in equal parts for caring what a lamp said to me. From 20 feet away, I stared at my own empty room, and the phone in my lap didn't make a sound, like whatever this was could only breathe right when I was close enough to hear it. In the morning I called my landlord and managed a clinical version, dates, times, alerts, because saying it scared made it bigger, and they offered to send maintenance to check the wiring, which felt like putting a coat on a draft and calling it spring. I took a long lunch, folded my life into my back seat, and told myself I'd give it one more night somewhere else, and then decide whether I was the kind of person who could move because of a hunch. Back at the duplex, I left the front door open for the light while I grabbed a toothbrush and a last box, and the house sounded hollow in that way rooms do after you take the furniture, like it knows you've said goodbye before you know it yourself. With nothing left but dust in my phone, I stood in the living room and held it like a divining rod and said, "If you're going to do it now," immediately hating how needy I sounded to a screen. 5 seconds of nothing, and then the banner slid down like a sigh pressed against skin, like it wanted to be kind. Unknown accessory moving with you, and I tapped find nearby out of habit and watched it fail like a door that doesn't open in a dream. I stepped onto the porch and it disappeared, as if crossing that line shook it off me like rain. And I put the last box in the car and drove away, watching my own window in the mirror until the house became a rectangle and then a memory with a street attached. I slept 12 miles away and the phone stayed empty, and I pretended that meant something permanent even though I knew better than to make promises for the world. A week later, my landlord texted a photo asking if I'd forgotten a lamp, a brass neck thing with a yellow shade I'd never seen, sitting in the exact spot my old lamp used to live, and the pole chain leaned like it had just been touched and left mid-swing. I stared at the picture until the screen dimmed, and all I could think about was the quiet way the banner always slid in, like breath on the back of my neck, and how whatever it was never wanted me anywhere but inside, close enough to hear it trying not to make a sound.